Hi, it's Priscilla Novak again with some brief thoughts on qualitative research. The first thing to know is the difference between quantitative and qualitative research. Quantitative research is about quantities and uses numbers to assess differences. Qualitative research and data are about descriptive and phenomenon which can be observed and recorded but not otherwise measured. These include things like feelings, opinions, beliefs, practices, actions, and language constructs. Whether you use quantitative methods or qualitative methods, the first step in the research process is to decide on a question you want to study. A good research question needs to be clear, specific, and manageable. And the answer to the question needs to be important. Usually, there are theories such as grounded theory, interactionism, phenomenology, and critical theory that can be used to help design a research question, guide selection of relevant data, interpret the data, and propose explanations of causes or influences. The second step after the research question, for both quantitative and qualitative research, the second step is to do a literature review. I usually use the PubMed website, which is produced by the National Library of Medicine. Another valuable resource is the UMD Public Health Librarian Hub, which we link to in the syllabus. You can also use scholar.google.com to search for literature, and that can be a very effective way of finding papers that are related to the topic of interest. Once you have done the literature search, you are ready to learn about what has been studied in relationship to your topic. And you might then want to revisit your research question and ask yourself whether or not more studies are truly needed on your topic, or whether there may be some sub-facet of the question that you want to focus on. So whether or not you revise the research question, you will need to decide whether qualitative methods or quantitative methods are a better fit for your research question. Qualitative researchers use a variety of data collection methods to develop deep understandings of how the phenomenon in question occur in populations and communities. Some of the most common qualitative approaches include walking around taking field notes, key informant interviews, focus groups, participant observation, and ethnography. In this class, you will not need to do anything with human subjects protections or the Institutional Review Board. However, you should be aware that research involving human subjects is regulated by the government to protect Americans. And if you were doing formal research, you would need to obtain approval from your advisor, your department, and the Institutional Review Board. Research with human subjects in other countries, like surveys for malaria, would also require permissions from the host country prior to doing your project. Just as with quantitative research, in qualitative research, you will need to consider your target populations, recruitment strategy, sample size, and analytic approach, and appropriate ways to share or disseminate your research results. You want to be sure that the way you recruit participants will help you answer the question you intend to answer. For example, if your question is about how women who had labor induced at a particular hospital were consented for induction of labor, then it makes sense to ask for administrative records to be able to identify women who gave birth at that facility. Even though qualitative research uses words to answer the research question, sample size is still a common concern. Most qualitative research uses a minimum of 6 participants. Interviews or focus groups conversation are usually recorded and transcribed. The transcriptions are analyzed, often with a software like Deduce or NVivo, and these programs help researchers identify the dominant themes that participants describe. Once the analysis is complete, researchers write the findings in an article or report.